Hey guys, Mustached here to review the video game Digimon World 2. So that's right, I've been on a nostalgia trip with Digimon, both the series as the TV show and the video game franchise. Starting up with Digimon World 1, if you didn't recall that, I have a full Let's Play and review of that as well, and a retrospective review going over all of the Digimon series up until Digimon Ghost Scheme, which is the current season of Digimon as far as what's available anyway. So we're back on the video game side of this, and we're here to talk about Digimon World 2. And I remember playing this game as a kid, and remembering it being a little bit complicated, even back then. But I do remember being able to beat it, though, as a kid. And coming back to it, well, that's where my review comes in. So, the story follows a red-haired protagonist, generically named Akira, but you can rename the team or two whatever you wish, as you go on this journey, this RPG-esque like journey, through this device called a digibeetle. This creates a more dungeoneer exploration 3-on-3 battle RPG rather than the typical raising of the Tamagotchi-esque world of Digimon World 1. And that is something, at least in terms of gameplay, that I definitely respect about the Digimon World franchise, is that each one, from 1 to 3, and even 4, even though 4 has a huge gap in it that I would remark upon, but I digress. Nonetheless, I find that this franchise definitely deserves a lot more of the respect than it's probably gotten over the years in terms of that regard. That being a unique franchise, and that each numbered one plays differently than the prior game. That isn't very typical. Usually a franchise tries to stick to a system or, some sort of gimmick or, and not that those are necessarily even bad. I mean, I love the Dynasty Warriors franchise just as an example of one that has remained pretty consistent throughout its run. Though some of its changes have not necessarily always been good, but, it's always stuck to the 1 versus 1,000 mentality. But here in Digimon World 2, again, separating it from Digimon World 1, we are no longer doing the caretaking part of the aspect. We're still battling, but we're now in a dungeon exploration type game, and the 3-on-3 battle system. And the story progresses as you can choose between your starting factions that either gives you a data starting type, a vaccine starting type, or a virus starting type. Now, it doesn't really matter which type you start with, you end up sharing the same story. That is, you end up finding a deeper threat that uncontends you from fighting, respectably among the other, I guess, quadrants or teams you can, team with, to this sort of almost otherworldly, sort of aspect to the end of Digimon, at least this story, where this Gaia comes and says that it's almost like a Matrix-style system story where you're all been stuck in this program and, they're using this AI to potentially try to take over the world and all that craziness, and it all goes there, but there is this other evil entity that regales upon you these deeper threats, or not even really, but still, to a degree, it does eventually get there. So it's a pretty generic story. nothing too fantastical. I probably would give the story on the lower end of the, probably, I would say the story's pretty mid, if anything. I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10 in terms of like, eh. And to be fair, I think in replaying Digimon World 2, though I do enjoy the 3-on-3 system more than the 1-on-1s that I know is in Digimon World 1 and even 3. I've played it 3 before, and that will be coming next in terms of Let's Play. But there are definitely some systems that took a bit getting used to again. For example, keeping up with your digibeetle maintenance. That meaning every time you complete your missions, you have to make sure your digibeetle is up to date to make sure it is keeping up with the highest end dungeons with either, being able to tackle, block paths that are in your way with certain items, and always making sure you are prepared before you go on a dungeon. Now, what makes Digimon World 2 unique is that every time you enter the dungeon, even if it's the same one, it's randomized. And for an early game, by the way, this is PlayStation, this is early. So randomization as early as Digimon World 2, I gotta commend that. I don't know if I would... I can't say that this must be the first, but it's probably among one of the earlier games to do randomization in terms of, like, every time you enter a dungeon, that it, maps out differently from the previous time. But, there is that question of maintenance. Now, past the maintenance, what's even worse than the maintenance is the grinding. Holy moly, is the grinding in this game probably the worst among the three, I think. I would argue, probably, from what I can remember of 3. And I've already played 1. I mean, you don't have to grind too hard in 1. But, there are some very specific requirements you gotta meet for some of that stuff, but, that's neither here nor there, but at any rate, so this game and its leveling system is baffling, and you level up to a certain level, let's say level 13 or so, the first time around anyway, and you max out your Digimon. So you get another Digimon by acquiring these toy items that you throw out, and you can see when you throw out an item, a heart will appear upon that Digimon, and the last Digimon you beat will have a chance, depending on how big the heart is, to join your team. So what you ought to do, apparently, is level up that Digimon all the way to that it's also max, and you can tell it's max when the Digimon stats below the level to the next level, it just reads a bunch of 9s. To max out both of their levels, then go to a DNA Digivolving person, and DNA Digivolve those two Digimon into a new one singular Digimon, and to repeat that process. Now, what I didn't learn throughout my entire replay of this is to never go in too soon. Never just get a Digimon and say turn it into a champion once you unlock a champion, for example, and then suddenly change it back to a rookie if its level is not maxed out. That is a bad recipe for disaster if you are looking to get the high-end Digimon by the end of this game. And like I said, the grinding process even for that is ridiculously high. So yeah, not great. Luckily, all of this stuff is been completely, I would say Digimon Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. Those two games in particular cover everything that this game does in terms of Digivolution and simplifies it beyond belief. First and foremost, you just have to encounter a Digimon to raise your ability to obtain it, so you don't have to buy any more items to gain affection towards it to try to battle it out. That's part one of its systems that it is greatly improved upon. And when you digivolve your Digimon up, well, you can maximize your Digimon's level immediately to level 99 if you wish to. So that's a plus. There's no handicap. They raise the the stat to get to level 99 or whatever, but at any rate. So, as you will see in my Let's Play, I beat it with a level 30 something rather type Digimon, a singular one at that, so the game isn't impossible to beat with, a relatively low level end Digimon in terms of if your max level is designed to be 99, then you can realistically beat this game at a pretty low level in terms of that whole system, so, you might not get the cool Digimon and overpowered Digimon you may necessarily want, but you can definitely still beat the game. And that's that. So, there is at least a workaround, though, I'd much prefer seeing the cooler Digimon myself. I'm sure plenty of other people do too. I mean, I think that is a part of the appeal for Digimon is getting those high-end Digimon, I would assume. For some people, definitely. So, in terms of gameplay, it's definitely also very mixed. A lot more mixed than I remember it being. So I'd probably go with a 6 out of 10, not necessarily a 7. Like I said, a lot of this gets cleaned up in a later game, so I'm definitely considering that as a part of my thinking process, is looking at it objectively in comparison to something else directly that does the exact same thing within the exact same not franchise. I mean, Digimon Cyber Sleuth is not Digimon World, so there's that. But yeah, it is disappointing that Digimon World 5 will probably still never come out. I mean, that was my dream for Bandai, to finally do something again with Digimon, whether that be a show or video game, but who knows? I guess Digimon is in another hiatus, aka it's dead again. So that's where we're at with Digimon, at least in the West. Which is always very unfortunate for someone like me, who's running out of stuff to do with Digimon. As a huge Digimon fan, by the way. But that is where that is. So that's my full review for Digimon World 2. If you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure that you got those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition to help out small YouTubers. Second, to my PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And third, to my Discord server, you can join, collab, chill, do all that cool stuff. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.